9 drinking fountain for dogs and pets to drink water out of down at the bottom. And all of you, bring in the lovely little pink church on your left coming at you. This is the Unitarian Universalist Church. A gentleman in this lovely little church by the name of James Pierpont, music director here. He wrote a song that me and you have sang most all our lives. The song he wrote right here would be published in 1857. It would be put out then as a song called A One-Horse Open Sleigh. In 1859, that song would be renamed to what me and you know today as your Jingle Bells. We refer to that lovely little pink church as our Jingle Bells Church. James Pierpont, 1857. And on your right, a massive block, the Sistine Chapel of the South, St. John the Baptist Catholic Cathedral. They laid the first cornerstone down in 1873. They finished it in 1896, caught fire in 1898, restored by the 1900s. The year 2000 went through an $11 million renovation. It has a 114-foot center aisle. It seats 1,000 people. It's got 66-foot ceiling walls, a 9,000-pound Italian sacrificial marble altar, the Stations of the Cross, and the 81 stained glass windows, all of them shipped in from Austria. It has been shut down to you all day, but when you get a chance to make your way in there, you see that circle of roses right up there? Right behind that circle sits a loft where the choir stands and sings. This is where you are going to put your eyes on 34 ranks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 2,308 of the most beautiful organ pipes that you will ever come to see. The organ player is a Norak treasure, white oak that changes color in time. Do not let this church pass you by while you are in this city. Does anybody need off in this little area? The Andrew Lowe House, Flannel O'Connery House, Hamilton Turner Bed and Breakfast this year? Anybody? We're good? We're good. Now, this church is going to bring us to the very first prohibition that the colonists were not allowed to do. General Oglethorpe and the trustees, when they started this colony, they did not allow any Catholics here. No Catholics were allowed here. They strongly felt back then that if you were Catholic, well, you just might be a little more partial to the Spaniards. Spaniards were the enemy back then. So we were not gonna have you here. And it would be that way till 1755. Until 1748, when England and Spain finally rectified their territorial differences. One down, 3 more to go. Gather them up as you ride with us today. Talk about them when we get to a location that applies to one of those 4 prohibitions. All around you, none of these buildings was here. This was all on the outskirts of the city. Back then, this area to your right was the dueling grounds. It was the area that the gentlemen would come to settle their differences, while they'd get back to back, walk off the 10 or 15 paces, turn around and shoot, and the loser would not have far to go. Kept it right here at Colonial Park Cemetery. Back first burial, 1750, the last one, 1853. 6 acres, 600 gravestone markers, but more than 10,000 people buried here. All of these brick tombs throughout this cemetery, they all go 8 to 10 feet down into the ground. 6 to 9 metal slabs in each. In the middle, they got what's called a bone box. That bone box was made out of limestone. Back then, all they did was just wrap you in linen and they laid you into position. But what they do? Well, they'd go back into those tombs later on to go see who was down the bones. They go in there and scrape the bones off them slabs and they throw them into that bone box. That limestone dissolved the bones into dust over time, and they would be laying the next body in there. That's why we got more than 10,000 people buried in this little small 6 acres right here. Several thousand unmarked graves in here. General Sherman headquartered his cavalry here. These soldiers broke out their knives and their bayonets, sat in there, etched out, carved out pretty new numbers and a lot of gravestone markers. People in there died when they were 1,000 years old, 700, 800 years old. Some were even dead before they were born. They were bored camping out right here. We're on our way to City Market 7, one spot if you want to spend a little bit of time. Coming on your left, you're coming up on Big Duke right here. Big Duke is one giant 5,500-pound fire bell that would ring to recall in all volunteer firefighters to help come fight a fire at one of our squares. City of Savannah was the first motorized fire department in the nation. 2 homes coming on your right, Ballastone Inn with the flags coming at you. This is Savannah's first bed and breakfast, but this is where your movie stars, they like to hide out right there. Matt Damon, Robert Redford, Paul Newman, Danny Glover, Kevin Spacey, Clint, Denzel, Adam Sandler, SpongeBob, just to name a few. Sit right next door to the birthplace of Julia Gordon-Low, born right there, Halloween night, 1860. One of the most influential women in American history, founder of our Girl Scouts in 1912. She would at one time be awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She was. You can visit that house just like Presidents Taft and Truman did, and come to know the Gordon's beautiful daughter. The family, they always referred to Julia Gordon-Low as Daisy. That's your first stage of being a Girl Scout, being a daisy. Right beside you here, my Gibson Center of the Arts. 14,000 additional square feet of art exhibition space. It allows for much larger, more modern art to be displayed inside there. Second floor has a hands-on gallery for children and families. It's called the Art Museum. Came to us April 2006, and it is a part of the Telfair Academy of Arts and Science. This is beautiful Telfair Square. This is one of the 4 originals laid out by the General in 1733. This is the only square in the city named after a family, the Telfair family. The matriarch was Edward Telfair, one of our governors, a member of the Colonial Congress. He had a son named Alexander Telfair. Alexander, well, he built himself a fine mansion on this square. You take a look at it, right here on your left-hand side. As you see it, 1819, when it was finished being built, 200 years ago. William J. was the architect from Bath, England, who would come help them build it and design it. All them statues in the front, they're all of famous artists, like the one that sat in the corner, Rembrandt. When Alexander passed away, he left his mansion to his sister, Mary Telfair. Well, you know, she's Our Lady of Stipulations. So, you know, when she passed away, she stipulated she wanted that mansion turned into an art museum. And then also told us what she wanted it called. And so it was so. Because in 1886, well, it would become the very first art museum in the Southeast, called the Telfair Academy of Arts and Science. Rolling into our City Market area, don't forget City Market 2 stops, 7 here and 13 right around the corner. This is your City Market stop, number 7 right here. Anybody need off for a City Market? Come on up. Nobody? We're good? No, I don't see nobody moving. Come on in, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Come on in. Ruben, yeah, come on in, guys. Welcome aboard, ladies. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
All right. Just keep rolling. Take a look left and right, City Market, multiple restaurants, gift shops, candy stores, art galleries down here, 2 squares, right running all the square down here. All of these restaurants here. Want to spend a little bit of time down here. We're on our way to number 8. Columbia Square, everything's shut down over there right now. Davenport House, Owens Thomas House, Leopold Ice Cream, Red Military Museum. Right here on your left is Club 1. That's where the Ladyship Lee did her show. There's a picture of her right there in the corner window on your left. You should remember the Ladyship Lee in the movie, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. You know, where she performed as himself, herself, whichever one you want to use. This is where she did her shows, right here at Club 1. Passed away on us 3 years ago, September the 8th. Pneumonia got her. This is beautiful Bay Street we're on, sectioned off by the General. They called it the Strand to begin with, and it would later be renamed to Bay Street, because of the way it sat right on that Savannah River Bay. River on your left-hand side, on the other side of these buildings. But you're really riding on top of Yamacraw Bluff. You know, this is where the Indians lived at. They lived all down this stretch of Bay Street, right by the rivers where they were living, until the General got here, negotiated with that Indian chief, Tomochichi. They relocated to Pipe Maker's Creek. The General would then start to establish his colony. Yamacraw Indians, this was a tribe of 200 of them. They were part of the Lower Creek Nation. There were Creek Indians living all down this stretch of Bay Street, right by the river. Look right there to your left at my old City Hall. That's an old building right there. That's a 1905 building. It would cost the city of Savannah $205,000 to build it back then. Beautiful old City Hall. You're coming into another one of our beautiful squares, but this one right here, the largest of all the squares. Beautiful Johnson Square, named after Robert Johnson, Colonial Royal Governor at the time, South Carolina. Big help to the General when we started this colony. This is the very first square laid out by General Oglethorpe. This is where the first 40 homes were built all around this square. They'd come to this square to get their water, to look at the sundial, to see what time of day it was. All the ladies, they gathered right here to your left. Back then, right here in this corner was a string of local ovens. This is where they socialized with each other, where they were all busy baking bread for the day. All the citizens would make their way to this square August the 10th, 1776, to hear the Declaration of Independence read to them. Center of this square, that beautiful memorial belongs to William Washington Gordon, founder and president of our Central of Georgia. I'm sorry, let me correct that. This rare memorial belongs to General Nathaniel Greene, second in command to George Washington. He is buried right there underneath his memorial, right along with one of his young sons. You know, for General Greene's part during the Revolutionary War, we would give him a plantation 8 miles south down the river from here. Well, he called it the Mulberry Grove Plantation. He loved that plantation, but he wasn't used to the kind of weather we were going to give him right here in South Georgia, with him being from Rhode Island. He went out riding on his horse one day, forgot his hat. He passed away out there. He died of a heat stroke. He went out riding on his horse one day, died of a heat stroke out there. He would leave his wife Catherine and 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 boy. It wasn't going to take long for Katie to think about just how was she going to educate her children without her man. She would set out to find somebody to help her. She started interviewing people left and right, men and women, till she finally come across a gentleman that inspired her. She hired this man. She moved him into the Mulberry Grove plantation. Well, he started educating her children right away. This was an educated man, a graduate from Yale University. Folks, this gentleman's name was Eli Whitney. He'd be the one to come and invent the cotton gin at the Mulberry Grove plantation. Would revolutionize cotton down here in the South. The man responsible for giving birth to King Cotton around here. On the way to your stop number 8, the Davenport House, Owens Thomas House, Leopold's Ice Cream with Military Museum. All around Columbia Square, your stop number 8. 1790 bed and breakfast and the Keyhole bed and breakfast. And the Keyhole bed and breakfast all around Columbia Square. Let's see if we can get across this traffic right here. Rolling into your stop number 8. Anybody need to offer any of the house bed and breakfasts around here, folks? We're good? We're good. Let's keep rolling. Take a look at that beauty over there, folks, because anything you see painted in white over there is made out of iron on this mansion. This is the Keyhole bed and breakfast. William Keyhole and his wife Ann, they would raise 10 kids in this house. He was the owner of the iron foundry in this city. All the ironworks that you will see throughout this city came out of his iron foundry. He built that mansion as his calling card. Said that if you can make it out of wood, I can make it out of iron. He did, folks. On our way to 9, Pirate's House. Good Eats restaurant today. Right there to your right is my flags, my Webb Military Museum. Beautiful memorabilia of all the different conflicts we've been involved in. From the actual Russian cockpit. From a MiG fighter you could take a peek at in there. Gorgeous little military museum right there. Right here in front of us, this little rainbow row of homes. This is where we will find a few of the oldest in the city. Let's start you on your left right there with this little black and white one. Look at that corner plaque. The year that that house was built. The pink house on your right and the tan one in the corner. These two homes also built in the year 1799. Lucky to have survived this long. You made it the Green Square, named after General Nathaniel Greene, second in command to George Washington. We just talked about him at Johnson Square. This is the square that General Sherman would come to, January 1865. You would bring with him to this square the Secretary of War to Abraham Lincoln, Edwin Stanton. These two gentlemen made over here left across the square to that pinkish-looking church you see over there. They went to the old wooden one that sat there. It burnt down. We replaced it with that one in 1925. But it was at the steps of the old Second African Baptist Church. Sherman stood over there and he would read the Emancipation Proclamation to the slaves and the citizens of this city. And this is where Sherman would issue Field Order number 15. Field Order number 15 stipulated that all African American families were going to be eligible to receive 40 acres and 1 free government mule. This was to help them get started in life again, to help them support themselves. But if you remember, Abraham Lincoln got assassinated. When he got assassinated, Vice President Johnson took over, and when he took over, he rescinded that order. He did not allow it to go through, so it never really happened for him. There's just a lot of history in this city, folks. Every little one that we give you around these squares, there's a half a dozen more all around them. We don't have the time to get them all in for you. Walk these squares, read these historical markers. You'll be in awe at just how much this colony would contribute to our country. Amazing the amount of history here, folks. On our way to your stop 9, the Pirate's House. Good Eats restaurant today. Stop 9 is the closest stop to the Marriott, to the Homewood, and to the Price Hotel. Coming in to stop 9 right here, folks. Anybody for some good eats at the Pirate's House or the hotel's close by? Stop 9. We're good? We're good. Let's keep going. On our way to the river. Probably the one spot most of you wanted to go to. Pirate's House right there on your right. Their building. Lounge rooms across the top, bar tavern at the bottom, where they got all drunk and intoxicated. But this was the trustees' garden area. None of these buildings was here. The original colonists came here and they would establish 10 acres. Good fertile ground. When they would experiment with all the seedlings they brought with them from Europe and from England. Out of this ground we would find out about our peaches and our cotton and our rice and our corn and our grapes and our olives. Multitude of plants came out of this ground, helped create the plantations throughout the South. Over to your right, McCauldron, where the Olympic flame was lit. This ramp gave away the gold, the silver, the bronze medals. Held the yachting events for the city of Atlanta, 1996. Booming with people here back then. Marriott behind this was the Olympic Village for us. Flooded with people here. On our way to the river. Now the Pirate's House is the second prohibition. No strong water, no hard liquor was allowed here. Only wine, beer, and ale would be allowed here. That one would be done away with 1742. Done away with. 2 down, 2 more to go. Emmett Park beside you, named after Robert Emmett, Irish patriot from Savannah he was. 3 memorials coming at you on your right-hand side. First one coming up, Little Eagle on the top. Chatham Artillery, oldest militia group in the state of Georgia. Next one, Vietnam Memorial, shaped in the country of Vietnam. 106 soldiers we lost over there. Next one, Celtic Cross. Brings us to the Irish events in this city. Absolutely phenomenal. Year before last, 400,000 would come to party with us. Last year, 350,000 came to party with us. The festivities involving the Irish in this city, second largest in the nation. 5-hour-long St. Patrick's Day parade. Booming with people here, folks. Everything turns green for St. Patrick's Day events in this city. Let's make our way down to the river. Take a look at these time ramp right here. Look at these stones all around you and underneath you. Cobblestones, ballast stones. These were all in the belly of a ship at one time. They were used in the bellies of ships to help keep them way down out there in the ocean. Keep them from being top-heavy out there in the waves. Pulled in the port, emptied them out of their bellies. Loaded up with their cotton and their cargo and left. We accumulated mountains of these rocks. They finally got wise. They paved everything down here with them. Because this was soft sandy soil down here by the river. We had to bring wagons of cotton through here. One bale of cotton, 500 pounds by itself. We had to bring thousands of them through here. This is your riverfront, folks. 80 different shops down here. 30 different restaurants down here. It is where you want to spend a little bit of time. The only place in the city of Savannah, right down here on this riverfront, where your Savannah food has no calories. Right down here. Get out there and go get you some. Don't let anybody tell you different. When you see let's get on for the river. Come on up here, guys. Y'all go out there and have a good time now.